everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Triboro Podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined by the no longer having computer problems, Nicholas O'Brien. How are you
Yay!
doing that your computer problems are hopefully solved for now?
Now that my laptop's connected to the Wi-Fi, I'm doing much better.
Uh, because we were gonna record both episodes at the same time for both season grades, but then I realized, hey, the Yankees press conference is tomorrow, and thank God I waited because we got a dump upon dump of news.
Yeah.
Really quickly, just going into the kind of housekeeping stuff with the coaches. Travis Chapman, the first base coach, and Mike Harkey, the bullpen coach, are both out. Travis Chapman has been the first base coach for the last couple of years. Mike Harkey has been the the bullpen coach for on and off for the last 10 years. I think about that. He was like bullpen coach from like 2013 to like 2016, and then like 2021 to present. So it's kind of like two different stints kind of over the last like 10 years time in there. Probably just looking for another face in there. I don't know. I also really don't know how much a bullpen coach does.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not really that big of a thing.
He is a hysterical guy, though. Like, if you look up anything about him, he is absolutely hysterical. Something must not happen. Must not think he's the right fit. Whatever. I'm not going to really think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
James Garrison, the hitting coach, is seen as a serious contender for a lot of managerial jobs, especially the Twins job. The Twins seem to like love him for their managerial job, and everyone's gonna say, "Oh, good, get rid of him." The Yankees have had the best offense in baseball pretty much since he's taken over, so I don't know why people. And again, I don't know how much a hitting coach is gonna have to do with that, but at the same time, like, why are we celebrating this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's dumb. Last one, Jake Hurst is promoted to the assistant hitting coach, was the organization's hitting coordinator in the minors before that, and I saw a lot of clickbait tweets that you could tell just the way they were worded of, Jake Hurst is promoted, he previously worked with, and then it was just Anthony Volpe, Jason Dominguez, Austin Wells, Oswald Peraza. It literally would say those four names. I saw that in multiple tweets. It's like, all right, you're not going to mention how he was with fucking Ben Rice?
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, is, like...
No shit.
For those four players, had some of their best baseball in the minor leagues. You know? So maybe there's something to that. Not necessarily like, oh, they suck in the majors, but hey, they were really good in the minors.
Yeah. Could be.
Think about it.
But then when it comes to the players, a lot more of a news dump. I'm going to start with the best one that I was shocked when I saw this. Aaron Judge will not need surgery. In my head, it was a foregone conclusion. Does that concern you at all? That he's not going to need surgery?
A little bit, just because of how they kind of were acting about it in season. But, you see a lot of guys, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, they never stated it as a UCL injury, right?
No, it was never a ligament. It was the flexor. It was a flexor strain.
Right.
And for those that don't know, the flexor is essentially it's essentially like your collarbone in the sense that the whole point of the flexor is to eat up all the damage so it doesn't get to your elbow. Whole point of your collarbone is to prevent it so you don't get like neck injuries, stuff like that. That's the whole point of the flexor for quick spark note explanation. But
yeah, I mean, it's a little, I wouldn't call it worrisome, but it's kind of just like, all right.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt like Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea had the loose bodies in his elbow. Oh, maybe he won't need surgery. It's like, all right. It's kind of different, but still, it's kind of like you're fine with it, but it just creeps in the back of your head. Like, I swear to God, if this comes up later, you're going to be really mad.
I will say, at least for a hitter, it's very different because say that he does tear his UCL, knocking all the wood imaginable. Say he does, you could just DH him to finish out the season. Guys have done that before. Yeah. So it's not like he tears his UCL, his season's over. He
Yeah.
he may need like a week off or something, but he will be able to finish the season out.
Right.
Then it's an issue for next year, but you cross that bridge when you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just something to keep an eye out for. They said he's kind of just going to be doing some rest and recovery for the next like couple of weeks, probably a couple of months, or like next month or so. Because one thing keep in the back of your mind, while they may be in the off season, these guys are still working out. They're still training, all
Oh
that.
yeah.
So, I mean, granted,
Year
it's
round.
not like Aaron Judge needs to develop more. So
Right.
take your day, your month off. You've earned it.
Yeah.
Spend the times with your fucking kids and your dogs. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't become an issue next year. But a couple of guys that will not be with the Yankees to start the season, Anthony Volpe and Carlos Rodon. Anthony Volpe had left shoulder arthroscopic labrum repair. Long story short, he had surgery to repair his torn labrum.
Right.
He is expected to not. It's expected timeline of 4 months until he could hit, 6 months until he could dive on his shoulder. Expected to not be ready for the start of the season, and I'm very curious how much of the diving, well, maybe 6 months. How long is he actually going to be continuously diving for, just on a pure psychological standpoint? Because you see in other
Yeah.
sports where, and like the biggest one is ACLs in football, where guys, they won't be as comfortable on the knee the first time doing it. How comfortable is he going to be diving on that shoulder when he actually does, even when he is cleared? That's something that's definitely going to want to keep an eye out for. But again, and you'll kind of see this somewhat reflected in my grades. What a joke of how they handled this. What a fucking joke. Like, he legitimately was one of the worst hitters in baseball since he tore his labrum, and you thought it was a good idea to have him play the most games on the team? That's not a fucking exaggeration. He had the most games played on the team for the Yankees. I just, it's a fucking joke. I'll get more into like the actual numbers, stuff like that when we get into the actual grades. But yeah, this was probably the most predictable thing of all time. How they're saying like, yeah, we
For
don't
sure.
think he'll need surgery. This is like, shut up. Like, just shut up. But the other one, Carlos Rodon, which seemed like it just came out of nowhere. He had a procedure to shave down a bone spur in his left elbow, expected to be delayed a few weeks for the 2026 season. Honest, legitimate question. What is a bone spur?
I think it's like a fragment of the bone that like kind of just like, if this is the bone, right? It kind of just goes. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong,
Okay,
but
yeah,
from the
kind
little I
of.
know,
Kind
yeah,
of. And for what I'm seeing, it's a response. It's the body trying to repair itself essentially from like stress or like friction.
right.
So
Which,
makes sense, yeah. Because he also doesn't have the most fluid motion. It's very, what is it, pronating? It's
I think he would that.
because
I
he's
think
very,
supinating is
he
when you
twists,
like.
he like flicks the booger like football, like flick the
Yeah,
booger
I
in.
think, I think that's
See, I literally did that
supinating.
3 times and my shoulder cracked. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so makes sense. He's not going to be there to start the beginning of the year. Where the hell did this come from? We didn't hear any of Carlos Rodon potentially dealing with an injury whatsoever, so that's weird that that came out of nowhere.
yeah. I don't know if I would call it weird. I think it's just
Not
one of those things
yeah,
where
not weird, not
he
weird.
obviously could pitch through it, and he didn't need to miss a start
Right.
because of it. So at that point, why say anything?
Yeah, and now it's a thing of your bone is literally growing in a wrong direction.
Wrong way.
Like we gotta fix that now.
Yeah.
Um, but the other two notes we had on pitchers were Clark Schmidt could be an option in the second half for the Yankees. That is something that will be interesting when or if he will be ready. That'll be an interesting decision then and see how they do that. Last one, Garrett Cole will not be ready for opening day, but they hope soon after. I think people are going to be like, oh yeah, like we knew this. Like That's good. I want to hear that he's on the timeline that we expect. I want to hear that, like, I'm one of those people that no news is good news, but at the same time, with the fucking Yankees organization, how they are with injuries recently, I want a day by day. Are we? I want, you know how like Domino's on the website, it has like the 5 stage like
Oh,
thing, and
where's your pizza?
no, like it's like in the oven. It's like being like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
need that for like every Yankee injury of like what phase are they at? Are they on track? We need a
Oh
daily
my
thing, and I want Brian Cashman to personally update it himself.
god.
Imagine
Just
that was actually
weekly, like oh my god, what's it called? Like the fuck. Like what I think it was FDR did it during the was it FDR? The campfire talks, like on the radio, where it's like every day it was like a little thing or whatever. Whatever, dumb joke. Anyways.
an evening radio address given by Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
It was FDR.
Yeah, between 1933 and 1944. It makes
During
sense.
yeah, during the Great
The Great
Depression.
Depression and World War II makes sense.
Checks out.
We're going through something similar to the Great Depression, but then the last kind of note was Jason Dominguez, and they said so much about him by saying a lot and by the words that they used, because they said he's expected to be a regular starter next year, and the team hopes that he plays Dominican Winter Ball, but that can also be changed based off the offseason plans. They want him in left field. That could also be changed by the offseason plans. Aaron Boone also did mention that he is a natural righty. Kind of, he never flat out said it, but kind of gave credence to the idea that they like him long term as a righty. Because it is important to know he does throw right handed. So he is a natural right handed player. You still there?
Yes, we're back.
Okay, you cut
I
out for a
cut
second.
out. Yes.
No, but he is a natural righty, so it does make sense in that form. So that kind of the biggest news I want to see with Jason Dominguez was, is he going to give up switch hitting? Based off that
Yeah.
news, I think that kind of says no. Without saying no, but also
Yeah.
just interesting the way that they said he is. We hope that he will be our left fielder, but things can change based off how things go in the off season. Because
Yeah.
they don't talk that way. That's the issue.
Right.
And ooh,
God
I'm
bless.
okay. But no, it's a lot of Gio Urshela is our starting shortstop. What was the other one last year? There was another one last year that was like bad, but there's so many ones where it's like, oh, this guy's our starting whatever, and then they just trade for a guy, and that's just not the case. So
Yeah.
weird that they kind of said like weren't fully committal. Or something like, yeah, like he
Yeah.
is, but like stuff can change because they, I don't know. Looking into
I
nothing,
think
not much there, but
I don't know. I took that more as a hey, if we get a left fielder, he could play center.
okay.
Not necessarily like, oh, he's not gonna be on the roster. It's like, hey,
Mm,
we would like him to be in left field, but if we get a player, Kyle Tucker, that will play left field, we can push him to center.
mm.
That's how I took it.
And one thing on Kyle Tucker, really quickly, they were willing to move Aaron Judge full time in the center field for Juan Soto. They
Mhm.
will move a better, younger, faster athlete whose natural position is center field for Kyle Tucker. They just will. But that obviously is something we'll talk about later. Kyle Tucker, if you're listening because you're not doing much right now, please come
Kyle
to the
Tucker.
Yankees. But getting into the actual grades themselves, I will obviously start it with Aaron Bleepin Judge. There's not a letter in the dictionary of the grade that this man deserves. He hit 331, 457 on base, 688 slugging, 204 WRC plus, 10.1 F4. He had, and the Yankees posted a thing a while ago, like once the season ended, just kind of comparing his numbers to everyone else in the American League. And holy shit. Did you end up seeing that thread?
I didn't.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
He led the league in OPS with 1145. Second in the American League was 954. He had 53 home runs, which was the most by a batting champ in Major League Baseball history. His 10.1 F-WAR led the American League, second being 9. He had 36 intentional walks, more than any team had total, except, of course, the Yankees. 688 slugging. Second was 589. 457 on base. Second was 399. No one in the American League had an on base above 400 except for Aaron Judge, and he blew past that mark. 331 batting average. Second was 311. Most go-ahead home runs in Major League Baseball with 24, and a 1273 OPS in the playoffs this year. In all of those numbers, you can look at that. It's another thing of he was very clearly playing compromised for, call it, 2 weeks after he came on, so he essentially lost 3-4 weeks of the season, and he still put up a 10 WAR, having the best numbers in baseball by a mile. And even, the thing that I look at too is, because I alluded to you, I didn't really mention this on the podcast yet, but I'm using this section for Aaron Judge to make my case for the MVP for Aaron Judge. I'm not going to be comparing him to Cal Riley right now, because one of my things is Aaron Judge blows him out of the water and everything. That is not to say Cal Riley had a bad year. I was talking about this today at work. I hate how the MVP discourse right now has come to discrediting one guy or the other to make the better case for the other. Both of these guys have had a fucking insane season. Insane season. If there ever was a year for there to be co-MVPs, it would be this year. And I feel like you get that, like, all the writers, all them, like, they've been saying too, like, yeah, like, this is the closest race we've had in a while. And I think the thing that goes in Judge's favor is, I forget who, I want to say it was Jason Stark. I could be wrong on that, but it was a big reporter that a lot of people know. It was either him or Passon. That they said they asked like 100 players. Every single player said Judge is the MVP. So again, players don't know everything, but just on a case of how they are feared and how they're respected, it's Judge by a mile. And the one discrediting thing I will do for Raleigh is the whole platinum glove narrative pisses me the hell off. Last year, he won it. The argument is he won a platinum glove last year. Last year. If we're including previous years, Aaron Judge is having one of the greatest, if not the greatest, 4-year peak for a right-handed hitter of all time. Let's account for those too. Cal Riley wasn't even a Gold Glove finalist this year. If it's only this year, it's annoying because that's been pissing me off. And then I saw he wasn't even a Gold Glove finalist. I'm like, all right, what the fuck you want to say now?
Blood in the water.
Granted, probably should have been a Gold Glove finalist, and the Gold Glove itself is a weird award. And with the way the Gold Glove is, I'm kind of shocked he didn't become a finalist because it is almost like a reputation award at this point rather than anything else.
Yeah.
But I think
it's a bad award. It's dumb. It's a bad award.
It is.
I just. Yeah.
Do you know if the same voters who have a Gold Glove award vote for MVP?
That is an excellent question. I don't think so.
Okay, because I was gonna say that could kind of be.
That's just my gut.
That could kind of be telling of what the writers think of Raleigh, at least offensively. Because the whole argument is Raleigh's defense. Because obviously, like the 60 home runs, like that's awesome, all that. Like phenomenal fucking year for a catcher. Even though there's been better years as a catcher, but find anything or no?
Yeah, I think it's just Rawlings.
Just Rawlings? Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Trying to think of where I was going to go with this next, but to me, it's Kyle Riley had a phenomenal year. He deserves to win the MVP in 99 out of 100 years. Unfortunately, him and Bobby Witt went up against the greatest peak for a right-handed hitter of all time. It should be Aaron Judge. That's it. I will hear arguments for it, but I'm also going to clap back if I don't think the arguments are right, and I haven't really heard a coherent argument that says 100% Riley should be the MVP over Judge. There was one thing, and I'm not saying people were seriously arguing this, but I saw someone on Twitter today using pitches,
First mistake.
yeah, using pitches caught as an argument for Riley in the MVP,
That I don't understand
saying
what
that he caught the most
that's
pitches in
had to be a
baseball.
joke.
No, he was fighting tooth and nail in the replies about it.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's disingenuous.
Now, if you want to say innings behind the plate or something behind that, sure, that's a completely different argument. But another thing people don't talk about, Cal Riley played a quarter of his games at DH. No one seems to mention that. People seem to say Aaron Judge people act like Aaron Judge was a full-time DH when a vast majority of his games were in right field. Cal Riley played a quarter of his games at DH. Obviously, there is a difference between going from catcher to DH and right field DH. Very big difference. But let's not act like Cal Riley played 162 games at catcher. I've seen so many people act like that. He hasn't. What were you gonna say?
He still played over 120 games.
I'm
at
I'm
catcher.
not discrediting that. But I've seen people legitimately act like he's played 162 games behind the plate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think it's very impressive given
I am
the
not
fact that he's a
discrediting that at
catcher.
all. I
No, I'm
am
not saying
not.
you are. I just
Yeah.
think the fact that, like he's still catching. Like it doesn't matter he's not catching 162 games. Nobody's
Yeah.
catching 162 games. That just physically you cannot do that. But the fact that he can still catch 120 games and put up the numbers he did is still very, very impressive.
I 100% agree with you. Like I said earlier, I'm not discrediting Raleigh whatsoever when I make any of the
Mhm.
arguments I made. But that's what I had for Judge because I've been needing to rant about this on here for a while, but we haven't really had a time to rant about it. But this was the
Mhm.
perfect time to rant about it. And obviously, if we have more time, I may even have time to do more like a breakdown, comparing the numbers, whatever, yada yada yada. All I know is that postseason numbers do not count for the MVP. So let's go, big dumper. But that was Aaron Judge. Like I said, there's not even a letter in the alphabet that you could give him at this point that truly
Yeah.
encapsulates the grade that he should get.
Yeah, there's not much else to say. 50 he still has not had a 40 home run season.
Weirdest
You
stat of all time.
know,
So weird.
another season of a WRC plus over 200, another over 1,000 OPS, another 50 home runs. Like,
And let's not forget,
still good.
there was a point a third of the way through the season that Aaron Judge was hitting 400. Let's not
Yeah,
forget about that.
that's true. I
Um,
did forget about that.
sure, because so much shit happened with him, where
Yeah.
he just he got down to like kind of 260. Then he got hurt. Then he kind of just like slowed down a little bit, got out of the rhythm, all that. So then he dipped to 330. Oh no. Um,
He sucks.
yeah, seriously. Dude, when he was in fucking 400, Marcus Stroman was pitching. But, anyways, on to Cody Bellinger, because I don't want to take forever on every individual player. I just wanted to really take a while to talk about Aaron Judge.
Hammer down.
Cody Bellinger, and one thing you will notice is I heavily weighed the postseason.
Hmm.
That was
Same
something
as last year.
yeah, same as last year. And I think you could even make an argument that I was generous with my grade for Cody Bellinger. I gave him a B. I think you can make a strong argument for B minus or even like a C plus because regular season, awesome. 272, 334 on base, 480 slugging, 125 WRC plus, 4.9 WAR, call it 5 WAR player, 29 home runs. Wish he had 30, so we could just say 30 home run season. Played all 4 positions. 651 OPS in the playoffs. Even then, all of those numbers came in that game 2 in Toronto, where they were down 13 runs. And they did start to come back, but it was still a 6-run game by like the end of it. So he did not show up like at all in the postseason. So I kind of think that B minus B is kind of fair. Just because if it was only regular season, I think there is a very strong argument for an A plus. If it was just regular season, considering what you gave up for him, what the expectations were from the years that he's been coming off of, very strong argument for that.
I think that's a little much. You gave up nothing for him.
That's the
You're
point.
making it sound like no, but you're making it sound like you gave up a shit ton.
No, that's what I meant.
Like,
That you gave up
but
nothing.
still, the fact that you give up nothing and he's good is great. If you gave up a lot and he was good, that's different.
I was looking at it through a different lens. I was looking
Yeah,
at the lens of what you gave up versus the production gained.
sure.
So, I was just looking at it
Yeah.
through a different
Yes.
lens. That's kind of how I did my grades. Where if they
Yeah.
traded for someone and they didn't give up much, and then they had like absurd numbers, I would give them a better grade.
Yeah, you got the best bang for your buck.
Yeah,
And Cody Petit isn't really much of a buck anyways.
yeah. Um, he officially he opted out. Shocker. Gonna be
Yeah.
very interesting to see what they do with him. I would love, or I wouldn't hate as a consolation prize if he gets brought back. Um, but to me, I'm getting the vibes of it being them re-signing Anthony Rizzo over going for Freddie Freeman or trading for Madelson.
Yeah.
That's the
He
vibes I get.
has to be treated as plan B.
Yeah,
He has to be treated as plan B. Like,
yeah, because
he had a good season. That's great. But Kyle Tucker is a much better player at all facets of the game and does not disappear when he goes on the road.
and I would say too. I would love if they got Kyle Tucker. I would still welcome Bellinger back. If they could find a way to
Sure.
make it
Yeah.
work, I would still love that. I am
It's okay,
okay
Justin.
if you miss out on Kyle Tucker because the Dodgers want to give him $500 million because the fucking Dodgers. Then
Lockout.
please, no, but I am okay getting him back as a plan B. It feels like a lot better of a plan B compared to what Rizzo versus Freeman was. But
Oh yeah.
that could also just be recency bias because that was pre-concussion Rizzo, so kind of before we really saw the drastic like that. What?
Yeah. No, I think it's just funny the way you worded it. But yes, no, that's true.
So that would love to have him back. I'll kind of get more into the Tucker Bellinger discussions later when we kind of do like our offseason previews, all that. Then you get into Jazz, Chisholm, who, because I didn't mention this, like you did, I'm doing it by WAR, highest to lowest. Jazz, I am giving a B. And this one hurt me to give because regular season, awesome. 242 average, 332 on base, 41 slugging, 126 WRC plus, 4.4 WAR, 30-30 season. But he had a 598 playoff OPS. But then again, at the same time, he was a big part in why you won two of the games that you won in the playoffs. So
It's the reason you got to the ALDS if you kind of want to like.
if you
look
want to
at it
get that
in
way, with
sense.
that run
Yeah.
he had, played awesome defense.
Right.
But at the same time, he also had that really big costly error that gave up those two extra runs. So
Yeah.
you could look at it a bunch of different ways. I kind of settled at a B, just to like sit in that area because Jazz, look, you talked a lot. You did not show up in the playoffs. That was a big reason. I was debating going B minus, but I just kind of stuck with the B.
I think
Then
B's
it,
fine.
what'd you say?
I think B's fine. I think that's
But then a
more than
guy
fair.
that I was a lot more critical on, and I probably thought I would have gone lower. I gave Trent Grisham a C plus.
I'm throwing a flag that
Why?
I don't think I think yes, he had a bad postseason, but going into the season, if I told you Grisham had a 130 WRC plus in the regular season, that's got to be a B at least.
You want to hear my reasoning?
He would be an A without the postseason. Change my mind. He became your starting center fielder.
Yes,
He
but
hit 30 home runs with a 130
34.
WRC plus.
Yes, but postseason plus him being one of the worst defensive center fielders in baseball.
And he still had a 3 WAR season. After being ass.
I will say this. Part of my anger in this grade is at the Yankees front office and at Aaron Boone and whoever makes the lineups, whoever makes that, because I said how many times that Cody Bellinger should just be in center field and Grisham should just be in left.
Yeah.
I said that probably countless times. He was a liability in center for a lot of the year. There
For
was a
sure,
lot of
but is that really I mean, yes, it's his fault, but everyone with knowledge of looking at these stats could tell he's not a center fielder. So is he gonna say, "No, I suck at center field. Let me play left"?
like I said though, part of my anger about and part of the reason with the grade is anger directed at the front office.
Sure.
I would hear a B minus if he didn't have a 426 OPS in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was really fucking bad. I know. I know.
426. He had the most strikeouts on the team. And say what you want about strikeouts, but when you were literally supposed to be setting the table for Aaron Judge, because at times the bottom of the order was getting on base, and then it would be on base for like one out, and then Trent Grisham just strikes out, nothing competitive whatsoever. And then Aaron Judge is up with 2 outs. They just pitch around Judge because, like, why are we going to fucking give in with 2 outs here? So that frustrated me to holy hell. And this is another example of he should just not have been batting leadoff playing center every game in the postseason. And that could be me more mad at the front office, but he still was the one that put up the numbers. And I'll get into there's some other guys too where it's kind of like similar things because I'll get into Volpe soon, but I still did give him a very bad grade, obviously. But a lot of that is because of the front office and the way they handled the situation with him. Obviously, different reasons. That was more for injury / performance, while this one was strict performance. I settled on a C plus for Grisham just because of the inherent need to play him in center, where he was just so bad defensively and how he was actively hurting you in the playoffs.
I would give him a B.
A B minus or a B?
B.
I could hear B minus. I can't give a full
He
B.
has not had a season with an WRC plus over 104 since 2020.
I will go.
His highest full season offensive stats were a 104 WRC plus, 15 home runs, and what's that OPS? And 740 OPS. This year, 811, 129, 34 home runs. The fact that he became your starting center fielder day in, day out in the regular season, I just don't think you can crush him that much because of the postseason.
I will give him a B minus because of the argument I made for Bellinger. You can also make for him in the sense of what you gave up to get him. Because realistically, if the Yankees did the Juan Soto trade, they would have given up everything they gave up for just Juan Soto himself. Trent Grisham was just a move by the Padres saying, just take him. We want to clear the salary.
Right.
So in that, I'll go up to a B minus because of that.
Fine.
Just that's where I can't go higher. I can't go higher. But anyways, on to the next guy. Would you believe if I told you that Ben Rice had the 5th highest WAR on the Yankees for the hitters?
Yeah, that was a surprise, but I guess given the rest of the team, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I gave him an A. And I think that there could be a very realistic argument that if the underlying numbers actually went to what they were, it would be an A plus. If he actually hit as well as all the numbers so that he should have. Yeah. 255 batting average, 337 on base, 499 slugging, 133 WRC plus, 3 WAR, 26 home runs. He was very versatile in a weird way. 50 games at first, 48 at DH, 36 at catcher, 730 OPS in the postseason. So it's kind of one of those things of he had that really fucking big game 2 against the Red Sox. And then it feel like he almost got too amped. You know what I mean? Where he kind of just got so like, he was swinging out of his shoes on breaking balls, wasn't doing that well. Because you take out that game 2 against Boston, he had a bad postseason. Bad postseason. So obviously, you're not going to take out the game where he went off. It was part of the reason, the main reason you won that game. But he was a guy that, remember, going into last year, I want to say midway through, I want to say when the year started, he was like your 22nd ranked prospect. And now he has the profile of a legitimate, incredible. He can be a superstar bat if the
He has
numbers.
the profile of a top 10 hitter in the
Yes,
league.
I I am trying not to say that because we are not there yet. Because
I will. He has the profile
he
to
does,
be a top 10 hitter in the league.
and it's. I'm trying not to say it because I don't want to get frustrated in the fact that his underlying numbers were so much fucking better than his actual numbers. But yes, and going from being a eighth round pick, the 22nd ranked prospect last year, to having a hot start, to then being incredibly unlucky for the rest of that year, to then coming in this year where it's like, is he even going to make the roster? Is he going to be playing? Yada, 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 yada. They signed a fucking geriatric first baseman to play over him. Could not be more impressed with Ben Rice. Gonna be very excited to see what he can do next year. But then going to a guy that is very similar, or not very similar, but you could put in the same bucket as Ben Rice in ways, Austin Wells. I gave him a B minus, and I could be talked into a B.
I think you're being too nice.
Let me.
But yeah, I'm waiting. I didn't say anything.
219 batting average, 275 on base, 436 slugging, 94 WRC plus, 3 WAR. One of the things, because you look, all right, 94 WRC plus, that's not good. 93 is average for catchers. So he was above average at his position, still hit 21 home runs, went through an up and down year. He was 94th percentile in fielding run value, so he's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. And how many games? Where are you? Because of course I didn't get it. 126 games. So there were definitely a lot of things that I wanted to see better with Austin Wells, but he's above average offensively at the position, and he's one of the best defensively at the most important defensive position in baseball. That's why I went B minus. And he was also
I
hitting.
think,
They hit him leadoff on opening day, and then they hit him
yeah.
8-9 for the rest of the year.
I mean, do you blame him?
No, oh no, I'm just saying that he was your 8-9 hitter, and to get a little bit above average, a tick above average at his position, with having that elite of defense, I'm fine with that. To me, a B minus is you did your job, nice.
I think elite defense is a little bit, just a smidge of glazing.
94th
Like,
percentile fielding run value, and
right, but
I know.
all of that comes from
I was
framing.
about to say I
He
know that part.
provides very little besides framing, and that's fine. Framing is a big part of the game, but most, if not all, of his catching value comes from one thing. He doesn't really throw guys out. He doesn't really block. He's average at both. And yes, sure, he was a tick above the average catcher, but he, I expected more. Maybe that's
I
my
did
fault.
too. I 100% did too.
Like, even like a 110 WRC plus is kind of what I was expecting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, maybe that's my fault for
Mhm.
thinking too high. That sounds a little mean, but
I
I don't know.
definitely
I think I would give him like a C plus.
I thought he would be better, and I get it. Only framing, but at the end of the day, with no ABS, framing is the most important thing. And to be one of the best framers in
Sure,
all of baseball while only playing 120 games, you know what I mean?
sure. Yeah, no, sure.
So
I get it. I get it. I just wouldn't call him an elite catcher. He's a very good catcher.
defensively,
I
I
would
will.
not call him elite. I would not.
We'll beg
I
to
would disagree.
we'll
Yeah.
agree to
Agree to
disagree on
disagree.
that one because that's a debate we could go on for a while. And we still got a lot of
Yeah.
people to get through. Giancarlo Stanton, this is gonna be harsh. I gave a C plus.
Mm, okay.
77 games. You know what? No, take it back. B minus. I will
Okay.
get into that in a second. But 77 games, 273 batting average, 350 on base, 569 slugging, 158 WRC plus, 24 home runs. Absolutely came alive throughout the season. but then was one of your worst hitters in the postseason at a 536 OPS, no home runs. He was the guy that you really relied on to be one of your best postseason hitters. He did not show up. Is phenomenal regular season he had. Having a 2 WAR as a DH in 77 games is insane. That's very damn good.
Yeah.
But the reason why I went from a C plus to a B minus is I will give him a lot of respect for the second Judge went out. He's like, put me in the outfield. He hasn't done it in years, and he's like, the second the team needs it, put me out there.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Because if you
Because
didn't, I were.
yeah, that's why like I said C plus, but as I said C plus, I like looked at the games
Yeah.
and I was gonna say, oh, 77 games only days. So I was like, wait, no. He said put me in the outfield.
Right.
Great leader, kind of rallied the troops a lot. So I think that's kind of a fair grade to give him.
Yeah.
You still want to see more than 77 games from him.
For sure. Yeah.
And you need
yeah.
like I get it. You're not gonna have the postseason you had last year because that was one of the best postseasons I've seen in my entire life from a player. But 536, give me like an 800. If he was at an
you needed
800
more.
OPS, all right, that's fine. You want more, obviously, but at least you could stomach that. You could say, okay, short sample size, he still hit decently well, but it just didn't roll his way.
Okay.
But that's just bad, dude. But if you had anything else on Stanton.
No, I think this is kind of just what you're gonna have to expect from him from now on. You know, I don't think, because how many games did he play last year? Over 100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now, but yeah, he played 114. Yeah, past 3 years just for hell of it. 2022, 110, 101, 114, 77.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, I think that's just how it's gonna go, and he was still very good, like you said. But yes, you definitely wish you had more out of him in the postseason. He's definitely one of the biggest, like,
Culprits.
you could point to culprits. Yeah, you point to be like, yeah, we needed you to be better.
Yeah. And one thing with Stanton too is we're getting to the end, the beginning of the end with him because he only has 2 more years under contract, including the year that's coming up, and then the third year's a club option, which
I'm sure it's going to be declined.
38-year-old Stanton, are you picking up a $15 million club option?
Don't think so. I
No.
don't think so.
We have seen some DHs kind of just play well into late age. Nelson Cruz, obviously there was steroid stuff there, but he's kind of like the big example of that, where it's like, yeah, like he's not gonna do much at the plate, but he's gonna hit some bombs.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's Nelson Cruz and then
Yeah, exactly.
well, it's not a great.
Then again, Nelson
and
Cruz
the
also
fact-
did have 5 years on Stanton,
right.
so that's another
Right.
thing too. But I just said him because the most recent example, and
Yeah, it's the
we've
only
seen
guy I
it
can think of.
recently.
Anyways.
Yada yada yada. Next, Jose Caballero, for what he was expected to do and how he performed, I gave him an A.
Yes. Okay.
40 games, 266 average, 372 on base. Fucking shocking. 456 slugging, 134 WRC plus, 1.1 WAR. Only had 4 at bats in the playoffs, so I'm not really gonna hold that. That's one game's worth.
He didn't do enough to
he didn't play enough to like really have that affected. And what was I gonna say? I could be wrong, but I believe he led the majors in stolen bases this year. He was just everything you could ask for. Like this was I asked for a backup shortstop that could spell Volpe when you need it. You got a guy that legitimately you can make a strong argument should have been starting every day over Volpe, especially in September.
For sure.
So and October, definitely October. I think you had to. But did you have anything else on Caballero before we do get into Volpe?
No, I think Volpe is gonna take a bit, so let's just jump into him.
I gave him a D minus. I didn't commit to the F just because I think at one point in the year the Yankees had to realize this guy is so clearly hurt by this injury, we cannot be running him out there. So that's why I didn't fully commit to the F. but I wanted to get right up into to get the closest I could unto it.
Yeah.
Played the most games out of anyone on the team. 153 games. He hit 212, 272 on base, 391 slugging, 83 WRC plus. God awful. A singular F4, 538 postseason OPS, which really is inflated by that one good game he had against Garrett Crochet. Granted, Garrett Crochet, big spot, tied the game, not taking that away from him. But outside of that moment, he did nothing in the playoffs. Pretty sure he led. There was a point where in his last 14 at bats, he struck out 11 times, where he was just bad with a capital everything. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen now because they said he's still their shortstop. Again, that could obviously change. He's not going to be there to start the year. So I don't know what you're going to do with him or what the plan is shortstop next year. That's going to be shocking. But he had to be better this year. And I will kind of stand on, I think this injury had a lot to do with it. Because you look at his numbers pre and post, significantly different. You look at when he had a week off in a cortisone shot, and then about 2 weeks after that, completely different player. So again,
Yeah.
Anthony Volpe always has been a streaky player, but when you're playing with a torn fucking labrum,
Right.
like I'm sorry, that's got to be something. Like
Yeah.
that,
Trevor Story missed 5 months with the same exact injury on almost the same exact play.
and just because that's why I
It's
don't.
hard to rag on him too much because there is a very good chance this injury just completely killed his season. But, he still
Which
played and
if that is the case, I will give him a lot of props. If like
yeah,
this, if
for sure.
he played this bag solely because of the injury, but he still was going out there every single day with how painful I'm sure this must have been. Give him props
Yeah.
for that. But
Yeah.
this grade, I think, is obviously mostly on him. But I think you can make an argument a lot more on the front office.
Yeah.
But
I think that's fair.
I cut you
But
off,
at the
as you're
same
saying.
yeah, no, the last thing I was gonna say is the same time is he's kind of shown you this is the type of player he is anyways. Like, I don't know. Do you really think he would have played that much better if he didn't hurt his shoulder?
I think defensively, yes.
Defensively, for sure. I'm more
Because
talking about just like hitting.
no, I know, but I'm just the argument that I want to say, and kind of the argument that I was saying a lot through the offseason was if Anthony Volpe is a 95 to 100 WRC plus guy, he gets on base, he runs, and he plays elite defense, you're fine with that. You're fine with
Yeah,
that.
no, absolutely.
But he didn't play elite defense. He did not get on base. He did not steal when he was on base. He did not do anything.
Much.
And I really do want to chalk up the defense to that being the shoulder injury
Yeah.
because I really do think like he was one of the best defenders at the position the last 2 years. And then
Yeah.
he went to one of the worst. To me, I
It's just it's so tough because
it is. It
outs
is.
above average is a range stat. Range, legs, getting to balls. How much can his shoulder hurting bother him to the point where it affects his range?
I think it's more a mental thing than anything. Where like
Maybe.
it's where he's not
I think
gonna.
that, and I think that's the only argument you can have against it as well.
Well, I
Because
was
if
gonna
it's
say
not like, I was just gonna say, if it's only, oh, it might just be a mental thing, sure, but I can't really hear anything else that will affect him this much. The shoulder affect him this much to be this bad.
well, because I was also gonna say maybe it's a thing of he's not diving for balls like he would. Maybe just something like that where he's not going for because one of the big things with him the last 2 years when he was being that good defensively is you'd see him make these highlight plays. Maybe he's not going for those highlight plays because he knows his shoulder's so fucked up that if he lands on it wrong, then he's out for the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No.
I really want to see what he looks like post surgery because as one of the biggest Anthony Volpe defenders, he probably has whether this be fair or not, when he comes back, a month to show you if he has it or not, and if not, he cannot be an everyday starter. He
Yeah.
should be a guy that you should strongly consider at most being on the bench late innings or late like defense pinch hit or not pinch hit, pinch run.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, basically become the new Jose Caballero.
That has so much less
But
positional versatility. That's
right.
why
And
I would say utility man, but he doesn't play anything except short.
yeah. And I don't know. I just think also like sure you have one more month to prove if you could be a shortstop. I think he has done more than enough to show you he's not.
Mm,
And I've been kind of on this train for a while
you
now.
have
And this has been more of a front office thing, but they've treated him so high and mighty.
too much kid gloves. The kid gloves
Yeah,
just ridiculous.
yeah, and it's kind of ruined any chance you can criticize him.
Mhm.
Because if you criticize him, then it's a bad look on yourself. But again, I don't want to pound that drum too much because look, the injury is significant, and I'm sure it does have to do with a lot
Mhm.
of his play.
Now this one, I think may shock people, and it kind of shocked me putting this down. I gave Paul Goldschmidt a B
I think that's fine. I
in
can't
the
be I
sense of
yeah, go ahead.
good job, Paul.
Yeah,
Like that's literally hit 274, 328 on base, 403 slugging, 103 WRC plus, .08 FWAR. One thing with that too is his numbers did tail off a lot towards the end of the year. He only had 9 at bats in the postseason, but in those 9 at bats, he had a 990 OPS. Definitely a guy that should have got more playing time, especially the more you saw Ben Rice not being able to hit that well, where he was just kind of like too amped up, swinging out of his shoes. So Paul Goldschmidt did kind of what he should have been doing because they signed him to be
yeah,
an everyday first baseman, but at the end of the day, that's not who he is. And you really saw
yeah,
him start to show that wear and tear and not be as productive as the year went on because of that. But he
yeah.
still mauled lefties. He still did his job. When he played, he was very good in the postseason. So for me, to get what you got from a 37-year-old player,
Good job.
good job.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah. The only thing I'll add is his you kind of mentioned it. His stats are definitely uplifted by the hot start. Like after May, he was kind of really of a non-factor.
Yeah.
But
The thing
good
to
job, Paul.
the thing too with Paul Goldschmidt is that I think you can make the same argument that I made with Grisham and Volpe with Paul Goldschmidt of the front office just used him so wrong. Where there was a
Yeah,
point where he was
I agree.
hitting leadoff against a million righties. It's just that's not his skill set. So am I
Yeah,
really gonna go after him that much when he's just put in a his job is to mash lefties, and he did a phenomenal job at that. He is
yeah.
not there to hit righties.
Hey,
And
Paul, we need you to hit lefties. This is why you're gonna lead off against every right-handed pitcher.
one thing that we also completely forgot to mention, he was awesome with the scoops. I
Yeah,
truly think, and this
good
was
scooper.
me. I think he graded like people like found like how many, and he was like had one of the highest scoop percentages in
Yeah,
baseball, if not the highest.
we need that on Savant.
That's what I was just about to
Yeah,
say. Like, because yesterday we were talking about Pete Alonso when we were doing the Mets
right. That's
episode,
something he does really
and
well.
I wanted to see that. I could not find it anywhere, and it was pissing me off because I wanted to see what Pete Alonso's scoops were because we were talking about
Yeah,
it. And so all the credit in the world to Paul Goldschmidt. Then moving on to Jason Dominguez, I gave him a C plus.
I would argue D personally,
I wouldn't go
given the
that low.
expectations.
I wouldn't go D. I could
We both picked him to be rookie of the year.
yes.
Keep that in mind.
I think C plus is only because they kind of just stopped playing him, so he didn't really have a
That's
chance to
fair.
play through the bad. Where like even when he was playing, it'd be like, all right, you're playing this game, then off, playing off, playing
Yeah,
off. So he didn't really have a real long opportunity to work through the rookie lumps. And part of that's obviously him. The other part of that is Trent Grisham hitting 34 home runs.
yeah, fair.
So that's why I went C plus. I'll bring it down to a C because C plus definitely is high. 256 on the year, 331 on base, 388 slugging, 103 WRC plus, .6 FWAR, 10 home runs, 23 stolen bases. I think the shocking thing for me was the home runs. That he only had 10, because I really thought it would be
Yeah.
a thing if he would just run into more.
Mm.
But obviously, that didn't happen. Kind of got a little screwed by just how good everyone else was playing in the outfield. So we didn't really have that opportunity to do it. They were very weird about the way they were with him playing against lefties. I just still doesn't make sense. But that's just Dominguez. Definitely can hear the argument for a lower grade. I'm gonna sit on C though.
Yeah, that's fine. I can be okay for C.
Then Ryan McMahon. He was so hard to grade for me. So hard. Because started off really hot. He had 54 games. Ended the year with the Yankees, 208 batting average, 308 on base, 333 slugging, 84 WRC plus, .6 FWAR. Very good in the postseason, 833 postseason OPS. Tied the game in game 4 against the Blue Jays and hit overall pretty well in that series. Where my struggles are is because I gave him a B. Because I kind of viewed it as middle of all the different arguments you can make. I kind of just went right in the middle of it. Because I think it is very hard for hitters coming from Coors to go to another ballpark and to do it, especially mid-season, especially a guy like Ryan McMahon, who's been in Colorado his entire career, to then go to New York, where it's like, holy shit, we were playing for nothing the last 5 years. Now we're in a World Series race. So I think a lot of that has to do with that. He was stellar defensively, just made the most crazy catches I've seen in my entire life on a daily basis. But the thing that made me give him the benefit of the doubt more than anything is we had fucking Oswald Peraza and DJ LeMahieu at third, dude. Like, he is just such an
The
insane.
bar was in hell.
What'd you say?
I said the bar was in hell.
He was such an insane. And again, like you said, the bar was so damn low, but he was such a drastic improvement over those two guys. Played absurdly great defense, and I do think a lot of it really does have to do with him just playing in Colorado, moving to another place, not being used to altitude, all that kind of stuff. I really want to see how he is for an entire season. I settled on a B. I feel like you could go so many different directions, so I kind of just went the middle of all of them.
Yeah, to me, he's kind of just like a set it, forget it, C, move on. There's really, I don't know. I kind of see him as you get what you expected.
I think our scales were also different.
Probably.
Because to me, a B is like, you did your job.
That's what a C is for me. It's like average. Like, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're
I think
fine.
that's kind of where the disparity, especially like with Jason Dominguez, where like that's why I said like a C. It's like, tick below, like, nice.
Yeah, I guess.
So like to me,
we kind of, it seems we're just a level apart.
Yeah.
On everything.
Because to me, like a B minus B is kind of like, all right,
that's good.
It's good. You did your job.
C is average. B is good. A is great.
Wish we would have talked about this before.
Probably, yeah, whatever.
With that reasoning, for me, I gave JC Escarra a B minus.
Yeah, backup catcher. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Did not hit for a lick of shit, but you look at the numbers when he was catching a lot of the guys, and the ERAs were a lot lower. He caught. There was a thing, like, I don't know the exact numbers on this off the top of my head, but like there was a span of like a month where they had like 4 or 5 shutouts, and he caught every single one of them. So it was kind of one of the things, like, all the pitchers loved him. Did a really good job there. Good story. Literally came from nothing. B minus. Cool. Then I gave Ahmed Rosario a B. Hit 303. On base 303. Did not walk. 485 slugging.
He doesn't know how to do that.
Or play defense. 117 WRC plus, .3 FWAR. And I will even say, there weren't that many abysmal defensive plays I saw from him.
He looked fine.
He
Yeah,
looked okay.
honestly.
Like, I was expecting. I almost said something very bad. I was expecting horrendous play. He was all
Yeah.
right. Again, obviously the eye test doesn't tell everything,
Yeah.
but 10 postseason at bats, 700 OPS, so literally like a tick above average. It's whatever.
Yeah.
He's there to hit lefties, and so I think a B. Limited playing time, played well, did his job, cool. Congrats. Now, moving on to the pitching. I am going to be harsh for these first two. I gave Max Fried a B minus.
Okay.
195, 195, yes, in a third innings pitched, 2.86 ERA, 307 FIP, 341 expected FIP, 4.8 WAR. The biggest issue for me was how bad he was in Toronto, dude. Like, I get it, you may not do well against the team, but at least give me 5 innings of 3 runs if you're my ace. You know what I mean? To go 3 innings, I think he gave
Really
7 or
bad.
8 runs up. That's just pathetic. I'm sorry. That is the game you have to steal in Toronto. You need to win that game. And let me say this, if he did not have that game in Toronto, he gets an A. I'll be honest. He gets a flat just A if he did not have that game in Toronto. But guess what? He did.
He did.
Can't take it back. Really curious how much the blister affected him for that like month and a half, 2-month span, because you really saw 3 pitchers with Max Fried. You saw first 2 months elite, or first 3 months elite, insane. Month and a half, bad. Month and a half, damn good. Phenomenal pitcher. So I really do think that blister kind of hampered his numbers. And if he didn't have that blister, I'm really curious to see how the Cy Young race would go. To see, because I still don't think he wins it, even if he didn't have the blister. But I'm curious how much closer it would be, and kind of see if he gets some first place votes. Because I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Because you always see that. Well, in the sense of, you always see like sometimes a guy gets a first place vote because the voter will literally say, "I just want to give him recognition."
Yeah, I guess. I don't think he strikes out a guy. He does not strike guys out enough, and he never really has. And I just don't think he's gonna ever be that guy.
No, I agree. And because the thing with Max Fried is, say that he doesn't have that blister injury, throws over 200 innings, probably has a sub 2.5 ERA. So I think that he gets some second place votes. Maybe gets one first place vote thrown his way.
Second place for sure.
So
yeah, I don't see first.
Again, it was just like for lack of a better term, a pity vote.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you did good. Gold star.
Yeah. Except for 1 out appearance. That's really what, like, again, I said it. If he didn't have that appearance in Toronto, he gets an A.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that was so pathetic. And he pitched very well against the Red Sox. He did. Pitched very well in that series. Pitched very well down the stretch to help the Yankees kind of secure that last wild card, almost win the division. Just can't get over that Toronto start. But then, Carlos Rodon, I gave him a C.
Ooh. Go ahead. I need to hear this.
190.
Wow.
Same exact innings as him. 195.1, 309 ERA, 378 FIP, 389 expected FIP, 3.2 F4. He was not good in the playoffs. Like, his best start was a start in which he gave up 3 runs. And I think he went 6 innings. 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. He was in an elimination game. He was dog shit against the Blue Jays. And, I mean, you could give him a little bit of a higher grade just because he gave Aaron Judge his moment. But he was bad, dude. I'm pretty sure he gave up all 6 of those runs. He left the game 6-1 when he left in the 3rd or the 4th inning in an elimination game at Yankee Stadium. Honestly, that's one of those things of, it's an elimination game. You're supposed to be a co-ace. That's bad. The Red Sox start was all right, sure. But guess what? That was another elimination game where he pitched all right in. So.
Man, that's really.
No, that is harsh. That is harsh.
Really
I 100% will admit. But I was very pissed off with him about the playoff starts. because you
Yeah,
pitched
that's
so
fair.
damn well
That's
in
fair.
the regular season that I am going to be harsh because of how bad you were in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Because at the end of the day,
I
6 innings,
guess
three
I get it.
runs
I do.
isn't bad, but
That's fine. That's a quality start.
for that to be your best start though, and
I
it
don't in the playoffs. I don't know. I take that any day of the week.
okay. Well, again. I know I'm being
Agree
very
to
harsh with this
disagree.
one.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm here to counteract the bias
Yes.
overreactions.
Then moving on to Will Warren. I gave him a C plus. He
Agree.
made 33 starts, so he led the team, 162 innings, 4.44 ERA, 4.07 FIP, 3.91 expected FIP, 2.1 WAR. So it's one of those things of the underlying numbers said that he should be better. He showed a lot of dominant stretches and a lot of oh my god stretches where he was so bad. So I think a C plus rookie year. I think I could even be talked into a B minus. He was
Yeah.
solid. Kind of got phased out of the rotation. A lot of that was his doing. It wasn't like Cam Slaughter. Yeah, he was pitching incredible. Luis Seal wasn't being a world beater. That 4 spot was
Yeah.
wide open for the taking. I think that he's gonna have a very valuable place on this team next year, especially because you're already missing Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon to begin the year. So you need a lot of guys because knock on wood, but it happens every year where a starter or two gets injured in spring training too, because that's just the way that shit happens.
Yeah.
So he is going to have a very important role on this team, and I still do think he has a lot of talent. We just need to see a lot more consistency from him.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, all I'll say on Warren is I think something underrated is just he made 33 starts. That's huge. And this a 4.44 ERA is perfect for like a 4 or 5 starter,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of what he should be.
I'll
And
I'll
I do
bump him up
I
to a
do
B minus just because of
well,
how many
I think a C
innings he
plus is fine. I think a C plus is fine personally.
it could go both
But
ways.
yeah, but he was perfectly fine. The full body work is good. And I do see a lot of positive regression in his future just looking at this very quickly. But yeah, you're right. He's going to be very important in the future. But for 2025, I think he was perfectly fine.
Yeah, and this moving on to a guy who got, in my opinion, tied for the second highest grade on this Yankees team. Cam Schlittler. I gave him an A plus. If he
Okay.
just had that game 3 performance alone, A plus alone, you don't have to see anything else.
Yeah.
But 73 innings, 2.96 ERA. The underlying numbers kind of had him at a 3.74 FIP, 3.77 expected FIP. Even then, his ERA was really inflated by 2 bad starts. The one against the believe it was the Blue Jays, and I believe one against the Twins, where he just was
Yeah.
bad, got hit around, did not look good. But what he did for this team in the playoffs cannot be understated. And if Cam Schlittler can develop any sort of breaking pitch, he's going to be splitter. I think
I say splitter. I say splitter.
anything. I don't get splitter,
Yeah.
change up, whatever. Something that has that break. I
Yes.
don't care. Just throw it, and I think that you have a legitimate pitcher on your hands.
For
Because
sure.
and I talked about this too in kind of like the season post mortem episode. The ability that he had going up against the Blue Jays when he very clearly did not have his stuff. I'm saying stuff in air quotes because you're still throwing 96, 97. But he did not have his stuff, and he was only throwing fastballs, and he still navigated that Blue Jays lineup very well.
Mm.
And if it wasn't for Jazz, he would have gone 7 innings, 2 runs. So, A plus. Please, for the love of God, just develop a breaking pitch. Add a breaking pitch and work on your curveball a little bit. And I think you
We're
have
cooking.
what's that?
We're cooking.
I think you have a sub 3.25 ERA next year. Anyways, moving on to
Mm.
Clark Schmidt. Again,
Right.
there's a reason why I'm moving on quick with that. But moving on to Clark Schmidt, I gave him a B. 78 innings, 3.32 ERA, 3.95 FIP, 4.44 expected FIP, 1.3 WAR. The reason I gave him a B, and this could be more out of frustration, but it's just because, dude, we got to see you pitch more. It feels like every year there's a big injury with him, and he is so talented. You see it every year where he'll have a very good ERA, he'll eat a decent amount of innings for you, but he just gets hurt too much, dude. And I know it's a pitcher, say that, but it's like, please,
Still, yeah,
it's a thing of, please, can we just see you more? Because you were a very solid part of this rotation when you do play. So I kind of just left it at a B. Just saying, like, you pitched very well, but we need to see
yeah.
more. And
You just wish you had more of it.
you're not gonna see him until what, like late July,
May,
early August, the
June.
earliest.
Yeah, I guess.
So then moving on to Luis Heel, I gave him a C.
Okay.
And this is because he did have same as Clark Schmidt, 3.32 ERA, 57 innings pitched. This is more because of the underlying numbers, not pretty whatsoever. 4.63 FIP, 5.65 expected FIP. But I'm not going to kind of grade heavily based off the underlying numbers because you are kind of. The grade is more so for what you actually did than the
Yeah.
underlying numbers can actually, like, they can play into it a little bit. But the reason why is you came into the season hurt, which this could be a lot of the reason why he just didn't pitch well because he just came into the season hurt. But you came into it knowing that you could throw 97, 98. And you're throwing 93, 94. The whole and not even like it's a thing of like you're hurt and you can't. No, you're intentionally doing it because you want to fix your control issues, and then you're walking 6 batters per 9.
And then it
You
doesn't help.
and granted, you weren't being relied on in Toronto. Did not pitch well in Toronto when you did play. I think it was 3 innings, 2 runs, both those runs being solo home runs. But we still wanted to see more. The whole point of Luis Heel is that he throws 97, 98 on his fastball, then has an 89, 90 mile an hour changeup. So when that changeup is, call it 85, 86, it's not nearly as good. So it's more of a frustration in why the hell are we changing this up? Did not mean to make that pun, but nice. Why are we changing up your repertoire? It makes no sense. It really just doesn't. I'm hoping and I have faith that he will kind of fix it going into next year and realize, hey, that was kind of fucking dumb. Let me just throw gas again. But
yeah. The only thing I'll add to Heel is he just didn't get better. Like obviously the injury, but he just didn't get better. And I need to see something from him next year that shows me he's progressing as a pitcher. Because long term, I don't think he's going to be viable if he continues to be what he is.
At least as a starter, I think he could be very
At
valuable.
least as a starter.
As a bullpen arm, yes. I think if you tell him, like, literally unleash it and you put him in a bullpen, I think you may have something there. But
yeah, then I think you have like another Camilo Duvall.
Yeah, I feel like that's low-key a near perfect comp. But the last starter, if you could even call him a starter, I want to talk about is Ryan Yarbrough. 64 innings, 4.36 ERA, 5.04 FIP, 4.3 expected FIP. He was a guy that did a job.
Good job, Ryan.
I gave him a B, frankly, because it just was a thing of they signed him for $2 million like a week before the season started.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
He was a swingman. He pitched bulk innings. He was a starter. Pitched very well before he got hurt. Let's not forget that. There was like a 5-start span where he was pitching phenomenal, then just hurt his oblique. I think a B's fair. Like, honestly, he just did. I could even hear an argument for a B+, honestly, just based off expectations. Cool, nice, good job. They bring him back on a cheap deal. Wouldn't hate it. If not, enjoy wherever you go. Then, getting into the bullpen. And this is where I get controversial. I gave Devin Williams a B-.
Wow.
Runs. He had 62 innings, 4.79 ERA, 2.68 FIP, 2.95 expected FIP, 1.4 WAR, 34.7 striking percentage. Again, like I said, I'm not going to I may bump it up by like a half a grade or bring it lower by a half a grade based off of underlying numbers, but I'm not going to go a full higher grade. But if I were, it would be because of him, because of how drastic the numbers are. Relievers, small sample size, still had his stuff. I think that there was kind of like how you said with Luis Heel, where you needed to see him get better. Devin Williams, got better and settled into New York. I really think that was a lot to do with it. In the postseason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he didn't give up a single run in the postseason. I have it up right now.
Yeah,
Where is
sounds right. I think he gave up a few runs, maybe like 2, or unless that was inherited.
inherited? Yeah. He did
It
not
was
give up a
okay,
single run.
right?
So money in the postseason, money down the stretch. I give him a B minus. I know that that may sound generous, but I truly think that he came into it where he just got traded to the Yankees. A lot of shit changed around him, and he was not good, but he was able to settle in, calm down, pitch for money down the stretch, pitch for money in the playoffs. What do you think of that
Yeah,
one? Because that
I would probably give him like a D plus, C minus. I just think he was
$100% agree.
so bad,
100%
so
agree.
bad to begin the season. But and yes, you're right. He settled in and he did his thing down the stretch, but he was just so bad. And there was like what, a week or two stretch where like he came in and it's like, all right, game's over in the wrong way.
And I will also say too, a lot of that is the Yankees kept forcing him out there when he clearly wasn't right for the moment.
Yeah, sure. There's also a lot of that, but
So,
as a closer, he was basically a non-factor when it came to win probability.
mhm.
That's something I don't look a lot at, but for a closer, 0.08 win probability added, so what, 8%? He just really didn't do much.
And that's fair. This was a more of a. This is definitely a recency bias one,
Hmm.
100%. I will not deny that because it also is a thing of you can make an argument if he's not on this team, do the Yankees win the division?
Right.
So you know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
who who's
Good
coming
question.
in that's going to be
Is Luke
pitching.
Weaver the closer?
What? That's another thing too.
Right.
Like what happens when he injures his hamstring? Because people forget when Luke Weaver hurt his hamstring, Devin Williams stepped up. That was part of
Yeah.
the time when Devin Williams stepped up. But moving on to the other guy that's tied for the second highest grade on this team, I gave David Bednar an A plus.
He was
Maybe
so
too
good.
generous. I don't care. This
He
is
was
one of
really
those
good.
ones that I will die on this hill that he did everything you could have fucking asked for him. 24 innings, 2.19 ERA, 2.45 FIP, 2.59 expected FIP, 36.1% strikeout percentage, struck out a village, was fucking nails. The energy was incredible. When you needed him to get 3 outs, he got 3 outs. So he did his job. And how kind of we were talking about Ryan McMahon, Devin Williams coming from these smaller markets, going to a big market, all that. How do you think they're gonna think? Devin Williams said, "Hold my," or not. David Bednar said, "Hold my fucking beer."
Yeah.
So could not be more excited for him. So excited for him to be on this team next year. Then another lunatic coming from a small market team, Fernando Cruz. I gave him a B.
Okay.
48 innings, 3.56 ERA, 3.18 FIP, 3.01 expected FIP, 36% strikeout percentage. I could be talked into a B plus. My only thing is that when he was bad, he was bad. There was a stretch like I want to say in like early September where there was a week or two he was just unplayable and you needed him down the stretch and he couldn't. Not gonna hold the injury against him obviously, but he was just bad.
Yeah.
So I think B is fair, all things considered.
Yeah.
Then
I can't really argue with that.
here is Mark Leiter Jr. I have no idea how to rate him because 48.1 innings pitched, 4.84 ERA, 3.55 FIP, 3.8 expected FIP. This may be harsh, but I gave him a C minus. He was not good. when he was called upon. And when it got to a point of he wasn't on the postseason roster, they trusted him that little to the point of they had Will Warren and Paul Blackburn in over Mark Leiter Jr. I
Yeah.
think that kind of just tells the whole story.
Yeah, basically.
Or it's just like,
He just wasn't good when they needed when he was put in, and that's kind of the name of the game.
I
So
think you could even say D minus or D plus. I just truly think that he didn't have any redeeming moments. Some of the other guys did that I gave higher grades to. That kind of had like those bad grades and then kind of bumped it up because of it.
yeah,
Then this one absolutely pains me to do. I gave Luke Weaver a C. He was so money for so long. Overall in the year, not that bad. 64 and 2/3 innings pitched, 3.62 ERA, 3.89 FIP, 412 expected FIP. And at the end of the day, I really do think they rushed him back from that hamstring injury because I think he beat his timeline by like 2 weeks. So that, and then on top of that, the postseason was despicable. If he did
really
not have
bad.
his postseason, I probably would have given him like a B plus. Just as like you
Yeah,
know what, probably a lot of it was the hamstring, all that. But to get into a point where you face 6 batters and record 0 out, you face 6 batters and you give up 6 hits in 2 different appearances in
yeah,
the postseason in close games. That's pathetic to me. Nah, I'm sorry,
yeah.
especially
It was really bad, really bad.
so bad in the postseason. I hate to do it because I obviously love Luke Weaver, but I have to give him a C. And I now to wrap it up, Camilo Doval. What would you give Camilo Doval?
D,
What'd you say?
D, like I don't. This was my only thing is this is kind of who he's been the
Mm-hmm.
past year or so. Next year I'll probably be a lot higher on him, but he just really wasn't that great.
I gave him a C plus
Hmm.
just
Okay.
because 18
Okay.
2/3 innings, 4.28 ERA, 410 FIP, 3.7 expected FIP. The reason why I gave him a C plus is I forget when exactly it started, but I kind of know the moment that it blew up was in Minnesota, where you kind of saw that his arm angle was changed or his arm slot was changed. The way he was gripping his pitch, or I believe it was his splitter, was also changed significantly. So you saw him make significant changes, and he was nails through then. Came in big spots in the postseason and produced. So it's one of those things that started off bad, but
Really bad.
then made changes, pitched a lot better, and was money in the playoffs for the Yankees. Like I said, especially with relievers with such small sample size, I think postseason, I weighed postseason a lot, especially a lot more for these guys than other guys. That's kind of why you saw the Devin Williams having such a high grade compared to what it should have been. Mark Leiter having such a low grade because they didn't even trust him to be on the roster. Luke Weaver having a
Roster.
low grade. Camilo Doval having the C plus. Lot lot of yapping. You had a lot of guys going into this year that you were very high on that did not produce, especially Anthony Volpe, Jason Dominguez, and a decent bit from Austin Wells. I still will give Wells a little bit of credit just because of how good he was defensively. But then you had other guys where it's like, all right, we're hoping that we could get something from them. And they'll be
Right.
like everyday contributors in Jazz, Cody Bellinger. They're like, okay, we did really good. And then you had guys like Ben Rice and Trent Grisham where like, let's just hope that they can give us something. And they blew those expectations out of the water.
Yeah.
And then you had Aaron Judge being Aaron
There it
Bleep
is.
and Judge. So overall, I'm very happy with offense. Scored the most runs in baseball, most home runs in baseball. Do think there is something to the fact of they could do more for balancing in the sense of I feel like there's too many similar at bats in this lineup. So I wouldn't hate to see some sort of change like that. A lot of nice surprises, obviously, like Jose Caballero. Forgot to mention him too in there. Some role players did their job. Pitchers, so it's so tough for pitchers because it's such a smaller sample size that say Max Fried just woke up on the wrong side of the bed in Toronto
Yeah.
and had a sore fucking shoulder, so he wasn't able to get the same releases he wanted to. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
so very very hard. The rotation. I don't know how to feel about this rotation going into next year because I am always very concerned when you have guys that miss spring training, even if they don't miss the start of the year. If they just miss spring training and their ramp up is the beginning of the year, I tend to get concerned when that. And you have two starters and that are going to be missing spring training that are going to be there for you early in the year, and then a third that will probably be there at some point.
Yeah.
So you're going into the year with three starters that aren't going to be ready for opening day. Granted, you did have a lot more depth there than other teams, because a lot of teams don't have Luis Heel and Will Warren as like the back end of the rotation young guys. You have guys coming back from injury, stuff like that. In the minors, obviously, this is before they sign anyone. Because all these guys that I mentioned are locked up. They're on the team. It's not like some of these guys are leaving. No, all these guys will be there, and they'll probably, especially with the because I said the other day I didn't think that the Yankees were going to sign a starter. Really, I didn't really think so with the Carlos Rodon injury, and then you pile on
Yeah.
also Garrett Cole, and then just someone's bound to get hurt in spring training. Obviously, I'm not hoping for anyone to get hurt, but it's just the unfortunate
It
reality
happens.
of what it is. You have to be prepared for it. I definitely think they do try to sign a Zach Allen now. They're probably going to put especially if they miss out on Kyle Tucker. I think they're going to try and put their chips in a little bit more on starting pitching depth.
Again.
What's that?
Again.
Eh. Um, but yeah, I really quickly on Tucker. There's nothing to make me believe that they do not want him. There's nothing that has changed my opinion compared to last offseason. But overall, the Yankee season as a whole, I would give.
Be careful because I'll jump to this camera and tackle you.
I'm in between two grades.
Okay.
D plus C minus.
You have it so good you don't
I
even
know.
know.
No, I know. I know.
If only.
I know. No, I
If
know. I
only.
fully know. But this team was in the World
You
Series.
hear what he's saying?
This team was in the World Series last year. You can make a strong argument that they beat themselves, and that's part of the reason why it did not go back to LA. They they lost on Soto. Obviously, that sucks. They had a phenomenal plan B. Probably the best plan B they could have had. I trying to. They're really. It seemed like every move, except for Williams, at the beginning of the year, worked out for them.
Yeah.
You blew an 8-game lead in your division. You had to be forced to play in the wild card series. You had to then play against the Blue Jays, and you got absolutely embarrassed on national television by the Toronto Blue Jays, where you literally had fucking Vladdy Guerrero getting plastered saying, "Duh, Yankees lose," and you had it's John Schneider, is the manager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Schneider blasting New York, New York, and saying start getting the brooms, and so no, I know it's harsh. I'm being very harsh on that on purpose. It's still a tough, big wound, and this team was too, in my opinion, too talented to go out in the division series.
Must be nice.
Because it's not a thing of, oh, they tried their hardest. No, so many guys just did not show up. So it's more of being
No,
critical
for
in
sure.
that sense.
For sure.
And I know that's going to any Mets fans listening to this, that's going to come off as big. I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't.
Whatever.
But
Whatever.
do you have anything else? Because my rambling is done.
No, you're the Yankees fan. I'm not gonna tell you how to feel. Outside looking in, I think it was a fine season. Probably like a C plus, B minus in from that again, the outside looking in, but you're
If
right. Guys didn't show up at when they needed it most, so
if the
felt
Blue Jays
that.
series felt more competitive, I would agree with you.
Mhm.
It just felt like they rolled over and
Yeah, they
died
got
for the
smacked
most
around.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah, take out one game, it felt like they just rolled over and died.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No.
so that's all
And
I
it
had.
took Aaron Judge finally showing up for them to actually win. So.
Mm, yeah, so this off season is going to be a very interesting one
Yeah, for sure.
because I feel
But
like the Mets and Yankees are looking for completely different things, but also a little bit of overlap at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah, low starting pitching, bullpen, an outfielder of sorts,
Yeah,
an
but I feel
outfielder
like
of
they're
some kind.
going for completely different types of outfielders.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
The
definitely.
Yankees are going to be swimming in the Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger range, and if you don't get one of those, it's going to feel like an absolute bust. But if the
Right.
Mets get one of those, you're going to be like, what the absolute fuck?
I would be like, why?
Yeah. But that's the point. It's like, what?
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
going to be
I
very
would
interesting.
agree
All
there.
the off-season content that will be happening. I cannot wait to be spam refreshing Twitter at the
Mm-hmm.
note at the drop of any dumb report
Rumor.
from John Heyman or Hector Gomez
Yeah,
or Bob Nightingale. But just remember, if all else fails for Yankees fans, all you care about is Jeff Passan and Jack Curry.
very true. Very true. So, that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. As always,
Oh yeah, and fuck the
uh,
Blue Jays.
oh,
Let's go Mariners.
yeah. I said it yesterday and they lost, so I'm not going to say anything. But if you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe, leave us a like, leave us a comment. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a follow, a rating. That really helps us out. And follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. All the stuff goes on there first and foremost before these episodes here, so you'll get a lot more live reactions there. Thank you guys so much again, and we will see you in the next episode.